Then Emily arrived at the washdown. Spencer was there. Though he was having a washdown, however, he was worried. He had jobs to do today. He had to take a train to Vickerstown. Then he had to pick up the Jupiter box and take them to Cullen Castle. He was worried if he'd be late for both jobs. Can you take my train to Vickerstown? Says Spencer. So I have to pick up the Jupiter's box and I'd be worried if I was late. Emily was cross. She didn't want to take Spencer's train to Vickerstown. She already knew that she had to take her very important goods train to the docks. Sorry, Spencer, but I can't do it. I had to take my very important goods train. The Fire Control ordered me to the docks. You have to try yourself or get another engine. Now if you excuse me, I'll be on my way. And with that, Emily puffed away. Oh, bother, says Spencer. I am sure to be late now. And at the yards, it was busy, as usual. So, Toby was shunting some trucks as Emily backed down onto the train. It was trucks or vans, and they had to be delivered to the docks on time. I will show the Fire Control that I'm a really useful engine, she said. She backed down slowly onto the train. Watch out for those vans, said Toby. I was shunting them this morning, and they're a bit heavy. Nonsense, said Emily. I may not be strong as other engines like Gordon or Spencer or Henry, or even Meldock, for example, or Hero, or any of those other engines, but I'm still a very useful engine. Okay, said Toby, but don't say I warned you. Soon, the guard blew his whistle and Emily puffed away. The train indeed was heavy, but Emily used all her strength. But the problem was, she didn't refill water and coal because Evelyn and James were at the water tower and Percy was shunting trucks at the coaling plant, which means she didn't have enough water and coal. But nor her or her crew didn't know this. Even Toby didn't know. Soon Emily was on her way. She was making good timing. Toby was right. The train was heavy, but Emily kept going. But she didn't know about her water and coal. And nor her final driver still didn't know about the problem. On the hill, Emily's wheels slipped. I cannot let the Fire Controller down, she said. She kept going and going. She soon made it over the hill. Fine, said Emily. Now I can try and deliver this on time now. The trouble was about to start. She was passing Wellsworth when the trouble was about to start. When it happened, all of a sudden Emily came to a stop. What happened? She said. Her driver checked her tank and her tender. You ran out of water and coal. We didn't with you. Emily was upset. Oh no, she said. After all that waiting I was doing, I didn't with you. I should have waited after Evelyn and James were done at the water tower. I should have waited after Percy was done at the coaling plant. Oh, what a silly engine I have been. she said. Meanwhile, Spencer was pouring the juice to the Boxfoods. He finished pouring his goods in the fixed time and he was running very late. He took the juice to the Boxfoods, but he saw Emily was in trouble. Emily saw Spencer. Spencer, please, she said. Can you help me? I ran out of water and coal, she said. Spencer knew Emily was in trouble. He wanted to help her, but he was running late with the juice to the Boxfoods. I'm sorry, said Spencer. You didn't take my goods train to Vickstown. Now I'm running late to Cannon's Castle to drink the Boxfoods. But sorry, I can't help, he said. Emily was upset. But Spencer went to continue his journey with the drink to the Boxfoods. He felt sorry for Emily, but still said he couldn't help. At the next signal box, Spencer saw a signal box and stopped and told the signalman about Emily. The signalman understood and telephoned for help. It wasn't long before help soon arrived. Emily arrived with some extra water for Emily, and Percy arrived with Hector with more coal. Now, said Henry, why didn't you fill water and coal this morning? Said Henry. Emily told everything. Oh, now I remember, said Henry. Henry, you didn't help Spencer. How do you know? Said Emily. James saw Spencer earlier on and he told me all about it. You need to have patience, said Percy. See, if you don't have patience, then, well, it will lead to trouble. You better be thankful Percy was shunting those trucks, cause or else we wouldn't be here with coal for you, said Hector. I was in a hurry, said Emily. I need to show the fat controller that I'm not just a silly engine. I may have done some silly things back in the past and got spent being a rescue engine, but I didn't want to show the fat controller I was useless. So I had to show so I wanted to show everyone that I'm a really useful engine and showing I can have the best jobs. No job is more important than helping another engine, said Henry. That's what we all do. We all stick together and work as a team, said Henry. That's what me, Percy, and Hector were doing. And deep down her boiler, Emily knew Henry was right, including Percy and Hector. Thanks to Percy, Henry, and Hector, Emily had plenty of water and coal and was back on her way. She soon arrived. Emily was happy she was able to get the train delivered on time. The doctor was busy as usual. Hi there, Emily, says Salty. Hello, Salty, said Emily. I delivered these important. I delivered the important goods train. Ah, semi-hearties. That's good. It reminds me when James ran out of water one time. I remember bringing our water to him. Oh, yes, Salty, we all know that time, said Cranky. Now, if you excuse me, I will put these cargoes onto the ship. And Cranky got to work. Oh, yes, Salty, said Emily. I still remember that story James told us. There's when he used to stay at Tim Michelle's for Evan and Henry, said Emily. But that was before I joined the shed, but I did visit sometimes, you know. Ah, yes, and before they rebuilt it, says Salty. Anyways, you better get going, Emily. So long, me hearties. Goodbye, said Emily. With that, Emily was uncovered and she puffed away. Emily had a good long spin down the coast. She enjoyed it. Just then, Emily saw black smoke coming out of a diesel. It was Paxton. He'd broken down outside of Great Alderton, and he couldn't move. Emily was about to pass, but then he remembered something. What Henry said. No job is more important than helping another engine, she said. I may be late for my next job, but I must help my friend. Paxton saw Emily. Oh, never mind about me, said Paxton. You have another job to do. I heard you have a special job. That's all right, said Emily. I finished that job. But what about your next job? That job can wait. Right now, you need help. Very well then, said Paxton. With that, Emily buffled up to Paxton, and with that, they set off. Thanks to Emily, Paxton was able to get to the diesel works, and he was soon being repaired. The workmen checked Paxton and they started fixing him up. Soon Paxton was fixed. The next day at the sheds, Spencer, Percy, and Emily went in the sheds. But Paxton, Henry, James, and Hector were also there. They saw the factory cars arriving. He had news. Before I say anything else, I would like to say thank you to Henry, Percy, and Hector for bringing water and coal out to Emily yesterday, said the Fat Controller. Good thing Spencer told the signalman about it. Well done for telling that, Spencer. Thank you, sir, said Henry and Hector, and Percy and Spencer. And the factory also said this to James. And well done for telling Henry about this as well as James. You're welcome, sir, said James. Henry's my best friend. Indeed, said the Fat Controller. And Paxton, about yesterday, it wasn't your fault. Your engine did that, so you're not to take the blame. Thank you, sir, said Paxton. Then the Fat Controller turned to Emily. He heard all about yesterday not helping Spencer, sir, but did help Paxton when he broke down. Emily, you're my most proudest engine from yesterday. What you did yesterday at the beginning was silly, but you did prove it in the end that when you help Paxton, you're still a really useful engine. Everyone looked at Emily and they're all very happy for her. Thank you for yesterday, said Paxton. You're welcome, said Emily. Looks like your voice did the trick, said Hector. Well, I did remember Salty telling me about when James went out of water. Oh, yeah, said James. I remember that day. And I'm sorry for what happened yesterday about me being boss who wanted to go first. I just wanted to put my job first, but I understand now I should always put my friends out first before my jobs. That's alright, said Percy. I'm sorry I didn't help you yesterday, said Spencer. It's alright. I know you were not doing it for payback, but you just couldn't do it with the Jupiter boxers, and I'm sorry I didn't take your goods during the Vicarstown. Spencer smiled. That's alright. You just wanted to finish your important job. Emily smiled. As everyone talked the rest of the way. Emily now has known a great deal about jobs. She understands that she may have been silly for the first couple of days. Emily has spent it being a rescue engine and putting her job first before her friends. Emily understands now that no job is more important than helping a friend. I think Emily will learn that lesson from now on. Don't you? Don't you?